Sometimes life takes us on unexpected detours. Being in the hospital reminded me how fragile life truly is. The experience of being vulnerable, surrounded by care, yet so alone with my thoughts, has shifted my perspective. It's a constant reminder that we often take our health and well-being for granted until something shakes us to our core. In the quiet of the hospital room, I found myself reflecting on everything I had put off in my life. The small moments of peace, the conversations I wished I had, and the relationships I neglected. Suddenly, they felt so important. My time in the hospital became a moment of profound self-awareness. The hospital is a place where time slows down and emotions run high. It forces you to confront your deepest fears, your regrets, and your dreams. It can be a place of despair, but also one of hope. I'm learning that healing is not just physical, but emotional, spiritual, and mental as well. Lying in a hospital bed, I had nothing but time to think. I found myself questioning everything. Why did it take something like this to remind me of what truly matters? What changes do I need to make in my life to appreciate each day fully, not just exist, but really live? Hospital visits can be a time of pain and uncertainty, but they also give us a unique opportunity to reflect on our priorities. The isolation of a hospital room brings clarity, making us realize how much we've taken for granted and how much we truly need to appreciate about life. Being in the hospital made me feel so small, so vulnerable, yet it also made me feel like I was given a chance to reset. The experience forced me to stop, reflect, and consider what really matters: my health, my relationships, and the things I've put on the back burner. I've always been strong, but there's something about a hospital room that humbles you. You're reminded of your mortality and that in the grand scheme of things, nothing is guaranteed. My time there was a lesson in patience and resilience and in embracing the uncertainty of life. The hospital was a strange place of reflection for me. Surrounded by machines and beeping sounds, I had nothing but my thoughts to keep me company. It was in these quiet moments that I discovered the power of stillness, the importance of facing your fears head on. I learned a lot in the hospital, not just about my body, but about my mind and spirit. When you're forced to face your vulnerabilities, you begin to understand the importance of healing from the inside out. It's a journey that involves physical recovery, but also emotional and mental growth. I used to think I could control everything, that I could outrun any challenge. But the hospital taught me that sometimes life will stop you in your tracks. setbacks. It's humbling to realize that no matter how much we plan, our health and well-being are always in the hands of something greater. The hospital environment was a strange mix of fear and hope. With every IV drip, every monitor beep, I found myself more and more aware of the preciousness of life. But it also reminded me that with every hardship, there's an opportunity to grow, to reflect, and to heal. When you're stuck in a hospital bed, all the distractions of the world fall away. You're left with yourself, your thoughts, and a lot of time to consider what truly matters. My experience reminded me that our health is our most valuable asset, something we should never take for granted. It's easy to get lost in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But when you're in the hospital, everything slows down. It makes you realize how important it is to focus on your well-being, to check in with yourself, and to make time for the things that matter most. Being in the hospital gave me the space I needed to confront my fears, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what might happen, and the fear of not being in control. But it also taught me the power of letting go, of trusting that things will unfold as they should. When you're in a hospital bed, your life feels like it's on pause. But in reality, it's a chance to reassess, reevaluate, and make changes. It's a reminder that health is wealth, and without it, nothing else really matters. My time in the hospital has made me more grateful for the simple joys of life. It's funny how a place like a hospital, where we go when things go wrong, can also be a place of awakening. For the first time in a long time, I had time to truly think about my life, my choices, and my future. I'm walking away with a new sense of purpose. Hospitalization is not just about physical recovery, it's also about emotional recovery. There are moments when you feel completely powerless, but that's also when you realize how strong you are, when you find the courage to heal from within. In the midst of pain and discomfort, I found myself questioning everything. The hospital made me rethink my priorities, my values, and how I've been spending my time. It's a place that forces you to reevaluate your entire life, and sometimes that's exactly what we need. I always thought I was invincible, that nothing could slow me down, but the hospital showed me otherwise. It was a humbling experience, and one that forced me to acknowledge the importance of slowing down, resting, and taking care of myself, not just physically, but mentally too. The hospital environment is unlike anything I've ever experienced. The sterile, quiet air, the constant hum of machines, it made me feel isolated, yet in a strange way, it also brought me closer to understanding what truly matters. It reminded me that life is fleeting and we must cherish every moment. I never realized how much I took my health for granted until I found myself in a hospital bed. It's strange how something as simple as breathing, walking, or being able to move can become so precious when it's temporarily taken away. It made me rethink what it means to live fully. Every moment in the hospital was a reminder that we can't control everything. Life throws curveball, and sometimes we have to accept that. It's humbling, but it also reminds you that growth and healing come from acceptance and letting go of control. The experience of being in the hospital brought me face to face with my own vulnerability. It made me reflect on the things I've ignored for so long: my mental health, my relationships, my self-care. It's a wake-up call to start prioritizing what truly matters in life. Being in the hospital has taught me to appreciate the small things: the way the sun shines through the window, the sound of a loved one's voice, the feeling of a gentle touch. These are the things we overlook in our busy lives, but they are the things that make life truly worth living. When you're lying in a hospital bed, you can't help but reflect on your life. It's a moment of truth, a moment of realization that you may have taken things for granted. But it's also an opportunity to reassess, to make changes, and to move forward with a deeper sense of gratitude. I've spent a lot of my life rushing, moving from one thing to the next without taking the time to pause. Being in the hospital taught me the importance of slowing down, of appreciating each moment, and of recognizing that sometimes the most important thing we can do is just breathe. The isolation of being in the hospital gave me space to think, to feel, and to process. It reminded me that healing is not just a physical journey, but a mental and emotional one too. We don't often realize how much we carry within us until we're forced to sit with ourselves. Sometimes we need a wake-up call to remind us of what's truly important. Being in the hospital made me realize how much I've neglected my own well-being and how easily we can take life for granted. It's a reminder to cherish each day and take better care of ourselves. Being in the hospital can feel like being trapped, unable to do the things you normally take for granted. But in that stillness, I found clarity. It became a time of self-reflection, a chance to look inward and ask myself what really matters in my life. The hospital is a place of contrasts: pain and healing, fear and hope, isolation and connection. It forces you to confront the things that are most important to you, and it teaches you that healing, in every sense of the word, is a journey worth taking. There's something about the sterile environment of a hospital that makes you realize how fragile life really is. It makes you appreciate the things you have, the health, the love, the moments we often overlook in the busyness of everyday life. The hospital experience was a strange combination of fear and growth. It made me realize how important it is to listen to our bodies, to rest when we need it, and to take care of ourselves. It was a wake-up call that I didn't know I needed. While in the hospital, I found myself questioning everything. It's a time when you're forced to reflect on your life, your choices, and your priorities. It's a reminder that health is our greatest asset, and without it, everything else is meaningless. The hospital is a place where time feels like it stands still. But in that stillness, you find the space to think about the things that truly matter. It's a reminder that our health is something we should never take for granted, and it's up to us to take care of ourselves. Being in the hospital forced me to look at my life from a different angle. It was a time of deep introspection, a chance to confront the fears and uncertainties that I'd been avoiding. It's a reminder that life is precious and that we should never take it for granted.